Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. They offer a wide selection of high-quality plants, landscaping materials, and home decor. They do amazing high-quality work and can help you transform your indoor and outdoor living spaces into something beautiful. So stop by Casey's Outdoor Solutions today and let them know you appreciate their support for Rock Solid Radio. Visit Casey's today. Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. This is Merle and Linda Hutchinson from Rock Solid Families. Hey, hon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Spring is here. I officially.
You had that mug out last time.
I can officially use my mug. Happy spring, it says.
Oh,
it's official.
It is official. It is official.
We're officially on spring break. How's your spring break going?
Well, other than rainy and cool, it's fantastic.
You know, it doesn't have the same feel that it did when we were teachers, and spring break was like, yes, we're out of.
Yeah, but there'll be some travel involved and maybe some sunshine. So hey, stop your complaining.
Sorry.
Guess what we're doing today?
What?
I'm really excited.
Why?
You're going to make me eat crow.
What? What are you talking about?
You're going to make me eat crow.
Crow? What does that mean?
You don't know what eat crow means?
Is that kind of like eat rabbit or deer meat or something like that? Like we're not physically
This is what I work with.
Strange.
This is what I work with.
Hey, speaking of strange meat, do you remember when our boys were like really into hunting?
Yeah.
And then they like caught squirrel and they caught rabbit and they caught frog legs.
You don't really catch it. You shoot it, but go ahead.
Anyway, they hunted all those things. And then they skinned it and stuff. And then they stuck it in the freezer and they never ate it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we should have a big like grill out and we never ate it. It's like, what's the sense? Finally, I threw it away. And they're like, I can't believe you threw it away. And I'm like, it sat there in the freezer for years. It's
4
gross.
years, yeah.
Like, I think it's time. So we're not eating crow.
No. So the phrase eating crow, okay, eating crow is, I've never eaten crow. I have eaten some different wild game. I've eaten goose, and goose was, I did not like goose at all, wild goose, okay? But they say that eating crow, if you actually ate crow is a really kind of repulsive, gross-tasting meat.
We're not going to do that, are we? It's like a fear factor thing.
But if you had to eat something you didn't like, you would be just like dreading it, right?
Where are you going with this?
And so eating crow comes from the idea that you are going to have to do something you don't want to do. And typically the phrase eating crow is when you have to admit something that maybe you've done wrong or you made a mistake. I know that's hardly ever happened to me, but if I had to, I have a feeling this show today, you're going to make me do that.
Well, you're talking about like eating humble pie.
Right, like if somebody's
like
messed
you're
up.
Admitting you messed up,
So
right?
eating humble pie, eat crow.
I'd rather eat humble pie than
eat
crow.
dirt. Oh, I don't know. See, humble pie is not good pie.
Okay.
It tastes bad.
Okay. Neither one of them.
You're just fooled by the pie part.
So, okay. We're getting off track here. What are we even talking about today?
Okay, so we're doing the parables.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing several different parables. And parables are the stories that Christ used to help teach the people of the time.
Right. A lesson for today.
Right. And so the thing that we're going to grab onto today is the parable of the prodigal son.
Oh, I love that one.
Okay.
Love that one.
And there's a part of this story. So a lot of times people they look at different parts of the story that they can relate to. But the part that I relate to is the eating crow part.
Ooh.
The part where... And we're going to talk a little bit more detail. So most of you have probably heard the story of the prodigal son, but there's a part there where the son has to admit his wrongdoing, has to admit his bad choices, has to come clean.
I see where this is going.
Yeah. And it's like, I get the part where the dad's like, oh, welcome back. But the part that the son does, like, admitting he's wrong.
So share with us then, hon. It sounds like you're setting yourself up.
I've never actually made a mistake. I don't.
Okay, so all right. Well, that would be the first one right there.
Okay, all right. No, one of the times I was thinking about like what was a time that I struggled with eating crow. And I thought about, basically struggled with the idea of kind of admitting not necessarily a wrong, but something where I had to go back and kind of plead for mercy.
Oh.
Okay, I had to plead basically to be allowed back in. And that was my first counseling job. Okay, so I was teaching over at East Central High School. And I came in, I had my counseling license, and an opportunity to go counsel came available, and it was over at Batesville High School, one of our other area high schools. And I was like, oh man, this is a great opportunity. And you remember that, right? We both thought, hey, I get to use my license, I get an opportunity to counsel. And so I was all excited about that, and it kind of came in a rush. So kind of in a rush, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take this job. And so I kind of left. I didn't leave East Central in a bad way, but I didn't give them quite the heads up because it happened over the summer.
Yeah.
And I took on my new job over at Batesville, all excited. And, hon, it was only a few months into that job where I was like, what did I get myself into? And it had
Maybe
nothing.
I made a mistake.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the Batesville folks. I mean, I love that community, love those people. It was the work. And it was another time where I learned a little bit more about myself. I learned that I really enjoy counseling and working kind of hands-on, one-on-one with people. But that counseling job had me preparing college admission forms,
A lot of paperwork,
doing schedules, dealing with college fairs, sitting at a desk and working through
That's not
stuff.
your thing.
And it was very little human interaction. And I mean, 3 months into that, I was just going, oh my gosh.
Yeah, shoot me now.
So the eating crow part came when my old position back at East Central opened back up. And I kind of had to go back on my knees and go, hey, is that job open? Hey, got any openings over there?
I might have made a mistake.
What was so funny is when they said, yeah, we definitely, would like to talk to you about it. I came in and I knew all those people so well, okay? Margaret Stewart and Jim Helms and all those guys. And I kind of had this feeling of like, hey, they know me. I know them. It's going to be good. They grilled me.
Made you interview all over again?
Not only interview, it was the hardest interview I've ever gone through in the school setting, because they were all about, are you sure you're ready to be back here?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're ready? Is your heart ready? Is your commitment ready? And I got done from that, and I was like, I just got beat to death. So that was a time where I felt like, man, I just ate crow. I just had, again, eating crow is not bad. It is a time of awareness. It's a time
humbling.
of coming together. Yeah, and it is that humbling. So ultimately, it's not a bad thing, but nobody likes going through the process.
No.
So you're not off the hook.
What?
You set me up.
You're the one that started the subject.
Let me hear yours.
Oh.
Come on. Eating crow, baby.
Eating crow.
Don't even tell me.
Well, I think back to a time.
Let's go to the sponsors of today's show.
Yeah.
I know where we're going.
No, my dad growing up, he was an awesome man. He still is, but he had a lot of wisdom that a lot of times I didn't like.
You were smarter than him?
I sometimes thought I was. And so one of these occasions was when I first got my license, and it was kind of a snowy, yucky day. And I was taking a group of students to a retreat. And my dad told me all about ice and snow and driving in it. And I was literally like, I know. I got this, right? I know better. And I did not get 3 miles down the road. And I slid into the back of a car at a stoplight.
Oh.
That was eating crow, because the first person I had to call
in
a phone booth, by the way, this was before the days of cell phones.
Yeah.
In a phone booth, thank God, was at the stoplight, was my dad.
Yeah.
And of course I'm crying and I am eating crow. Like, you're
Dad,
right.
you were right.
You were right, Dad. You were right. I had that so wrong. And I am now at an accident down the street.
Yeah. Hitting the car was the least of your problems.
My gosh.
Talking to your dad was the real come to Jesus moment for Miss
humbling.
Linda.
Yes. It was very humbling. So I would say I ate humble pie that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, we're going to talk about this parable, and the whole idea is we like to go through here on Rock Solid Radio. How do we use these stories to improve the life that we have, the marriage that we have? Yeah. What does this mean to us? The parables were told with things that had meaning in the day. And so whether that was with an animal or whether it was with a certain type of work or whatever, but the human character, the characteristics, the nature does not change. And so in 2021, it is just as relevant as it was back in the days of Jesus. And so what we really have to do is we really have to think, what is Christ saying to us today? From that parable yesterday. And so we're going to get into that a little bit and we're going to have some fun, but at the same time, really drill down like, okay, what do you need to hear in your family, your marriage?
But before we do, we just want to take a second and thank our sponsors. We want to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Maxwell Construction for coming alongside Rock Solid Radio. And we couldn't do what we're doing without them. So please take a moment when you have a chance, especially if you stop by Casey's, let them know that you appreciate this positive programming that we hope is going to help you and your family.
Absolutely. Okay, so and a couple of different announcements. I think we're going to dedicate this announcement. This would be what I call humble pie. We are humbly asking, as we're getting ready to kind of kick off our spring fundraising season with sending out letters and talking to people and making phone calls. And it's not fun. We don't enjoy that part. But we are starting to learn a couple of things. One, it is humbling, and it is a matter of us realizing quickly that we all have gifts. And we talked with a couple the other day who they were fantastic about reminding us about the importance of gifts. And that is, one of our gifts that we are thankful for and feel like that we've been blessed with is laid on our heart to help couples and families, but having just the ability to do it. But we talked to one couple and they said, we want to help couples, but we don't have any of that ability or understanding of how to actually approach somebody to counsel or coach. And they said, but I've been blessed financially, and I know how to make money, and so that understanding is humbling to us, but it's an understanding that we have to have. God didn't make us self-sufficient so that we are talented and gifted for everything we would ever need. And he makes it so that we're all set with separate gifts so that we have to call on each other to help each other, but also to help his kingdom. Right. And so this is our ask. We need you guys. The families that we serve need you. They can't always afford to pay what they need to pay or what we're asking for them to pay. But we say, you still need to come in here. We're going to work with you. And so we need you. They need you. We feel like our community needs you. And so this is your way. If you've been blessed, please think about considering Rock Solid Families and our ministry here. You can go to our website. There's a donate button there, and you can be set up on either an ongoing giving or a one-time gift, and whether credit card or check or cash, however you want to do that. But we just ask that you pray about it, think about it. This is how we pull together to get these kinds of things going, and this is our ask. So. Please help us out.
And so what we've been hearing from people is that, especially with this stimulus checks that a lot of families are getting, that, this is a way that they can take that. Maybe they've been doing fine without it, let's say, and pay it forward. And so we're asking to pay it forward. And we do believe that it takes a village, and part of it is that this is not about us. This is about the families that we can reach with our message and with the opportunity for help and for hope. So please, if you have questions about our work and how you can get involved and how you can support, we always appreciate your prayers, because this is an uphill battle. We're swimming upstream. We are the minority now. And so it's important that we band together and we support positive messages of hope and help. So, Speaking of which, today's message is about hope.
It is about hope.
Yeah.
It's about a lot of neat things. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to take apart. I don't know that we feel the desire to read all of the parable of the prodigal son just because of its length, but maybe we'll kind of highlight it and bullet point it. And if nothing else, we would encourage you to go back and read it. So this is one of these stories that is only found in one gospel. It's only in the Gospel of Luke, and it's in Luke 15 verses 11 through 32. So, but basically this story is, to kind of do a quick recap, is we have a wealthy father, okay? And so wealth back in those days was measured in animals, crops, and land, things like that you had. And so this gentleman had really all that he could ever need. And part of that was he had built up such wealth that his sons knew that they had a significant inheritance coming their way.
And they were like this. Yes. They were excited. And the son, is tired of living this life. And he asks his father for the inheritance ahead of time. And he wants to take it and go live a life of his own. And his father is willing to do that. Even though he knows this is not going to end well. You can kind of feel it. He goes ahead and he lets him have his wealth and go do what he wants with it.
Right. And so he takes the money, he takes the inheritance that he has, and, kind of probably, I can imagine, putting his flip-flops on and having his dough stashed in his back pocket, and he's out. And he makes kind of no bones about it. He's out to party. He's out to celebrate. He's out to just live the life. And he does that. He has fun, and he parties, and he lives what seems to be like just a fun, cool, and even rewarding life in the moment, okay? But
we don't know any kids that do that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's important that not just to get down and fault him for it. These are what we call fleshly desires.
Yep.
And so none of us are basically hidden from those.
Yeah.
But they're definitely strong at that young adult age.
Sure.
The
Drink
teenage,
it away, party it away.
Yeah, I mean, it feels
spend
good,
it away.
do it. And so this kid has this opportunity. He's wise in the sense of, hey, I got some money coming, and this is how I could use it. So he does it. The problem is soon he exhausts all of his resources. He blows it, okay? And he starts to get into that panic. What does he do, hon, when he's like, I got no money, honey?
He's desperate. He's desperate, and he's trying to feed himself, and he literally finds himself eating among the pigs. I mean, he's in the pig pen, and he's hired on to work in this pig pen, and he's literally sitting in that thinking, what did I do?
Yeah.
Like,
I'd like to think that he would say, I've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he literally realizes that he kind of made a mistake. That eating crow that you said, or humble pie.
Yeah.
And realizes that, man, I'd rather go back and be a servant of my father than doing what I'm doing now. And so he literally gets this repentant heart of really having remorse of the decisions that he made. And that's a key thing here, because you may be a parent and you have a child who has squandered their inheritance away. Maybe they have taken advantage of you. They literally eat and sleep and take your stuff and have no appreciation and no gratitude, and you just let them keep doing it. And at some point, you have to realize that they've got to learn the consequences for their actions, which is what the father did. He let him go and squander that money, but he didn't stop him.
No. So when the son kind of wraps his head around what he needs to do, he does it with the right heart, as you just said. He didn't come back with an arrogance of, man, you
owe me.
Give me some more money because this ran out or whatever.
The story would be very different.
He
if that
came
was
back
the case.
and he actually asked to kind of be demoted out of the family line. Like, I'll just be a servant, Dad, but anything you can do is better than what I have right now. I'm living with the pigs. And that's when things get kind of, I'll say, a little bit different in terms of what the world might say. You might say, well, he deserves what he gets. But the father opens his arms and is just beyond ecstatic when he sees not just his son come up the road, but see the heart from the son that comes up the road. That's what's so different. And his father just basically is all over him with love. Go get him cleaned up, go get him the best robe and sandals, and let's throw a party.
Yeah.
And so he's welcomed fully fully back in, kind of like no demotion or anything.
Yeah. And that's really a picture of grace of the Father, of our Heavenly Father, who loves us despite our bad decisions. You know, my dad did not grill me when I called him that day. He literally got in his car and he came to that spot, and he never once said, "I told you so." He never once rubbed my face in it. He hugged me because I was crying and I was scared. And he's like, "It's going to be okay. It's just stuff." And God love him. I felt so humiliated and so regretful that I had just not even listened to him and I did my own thing. But my dad did not treat me that way. He treated me with grace and mercy and forgiveness. And that's what the prodigal son's father did to his son. And that's what our Heavenly Father does to us. And that's what he's calling us to do to our children.
Right. But there's another part to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's another character actually. So there's the father, and then there's the prodigal son, but there is the character of the older son. And the older son, you can kind of get him. I do get him a little bit because it doesn't sound right that you should get him because he seems like maybe not the best character, but you can see what happens. He stayed in the family the entire time, did the work that he was probably assigned to do or responsible for, did his thing, was loyal to his father, and all of a sudden his little punk brother leaves and causes all this commotion, and his brother comes back, and not only does he come back, but he's welcomed back with a party and the best food and drink and all this stuff, and all of a sudden the older son basically, in our language, goes, "Really?
Really?
Really? Is it really? Like, I'm here all the time.
Hello,
I'm doing all
what about
this."
me?
Yeah, and so the jealousy, the entitlement that comes out of the older brother is another thing that we have to lay grips on, because so oftentimes we look at how somebody's living a life and we're like, "Oh, well, maybe that person's going to hell for what they're doing, or that person should get this." And the real question we need to ask is, are we trying to play God? We don't tell the Father what to do. The Father does what he does because he knows what he's doing. And so our jealousy of another person's status in life is really not what we're needing to be concerned about. We need to be concerned about ourselves and how we are interacting with the Father. So anyway, that's kind of that story.
Yeah, but let's talk a little bit about that, hon, because that walks in our door all the time. Those are the people who are harboring bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness because of what something else happened to someone else, or didn't happen to someone else, or they didn't get what they deserve, or they got what they don't deserve. And so we have these folks that are just bound in this bitterness, and it just eats them up from the inside out.
Yeah, life's not fair.
So that other brother, man, that's just as big a story as the prodigal son.
Yeah, there's multiple sermons just in that. So, but anyway, so in that parable, you've got lots of different
family dynamics,
but different human character traits that come out. And so we want to try to take a little bit of time to kind of see how might this be projecting in your own home, whether you're part of it, guilty as charged, or whether you're experiencing it. So the first thing that I think is really important, especially when I'm talking about marriage, because we see this all the time. This is the other thing that walks through our door all the time. The very first concept that we get proposed with here is the prodigal son, and basically saying the grass is greener elsewhere. He's excited about it, right? Like we see this in marriages where they're starting to drift apart, and one of the partners, if not both, start to fantasize about a different or what they believe is a better life. Maybe it's with a different partner. Maybe it's with no partner. Maybe it's living some different adventurous life. But they start to put their focus on that, and it becomes huge.
Yes.
Right? It's extremely green.
Yeah,
it's
it looks extremely, so good.
Yeah. And so this is really important to understand that this is a fleshly desire. It is not of the Spirit, okay? And I think, hon, this is we've talked about this before. People confuse this soulmate thing. We see this. See this with affairs.
Yeah.
So somebody has an affair and they're still in the marriage, and they'll say, "I found my soulmate."
Oh,
and we really want to go, no, you found your fleshly desire.
Yeah.
You did not find your soulmate, because God does not work counter to marriage.
You know, you said something about the grass is greener. Have you ever heard the one that says sometimes the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, but it may be fake? so it may be astroturf, so.
Well, I've always heard the grass is green on the other side, but you still got to mow it.
You still got to mow it. Or maybe you got to water it. But, it looks really good. And those are those temptations that you just imagine in your head and dream that, man, if I was only single again, or if I could get on a Christian mingle site, or if I could, get rid of this husband, or the kids would move out. And we can't let that run because it can get to us in a bad way.
And we want to remind you, this is something that is in our control. And this is also the work of Satan. We see it with pornography. If we let pornographic images and fantasies run through our head, I talk to men all the time, and I'll be like, well, when do you do this? Well, a lot of times when I'm driving, I just have these fantasies going in my head. And I'm like, okay, so one of our practices is going to be, as soon as you catch it, you say, stop. And you literally call it out for what it is. In the name of the Holy Spirit, I am going to stop doing this. And you would be shocked at how you're able to start to take every thought captive, as Scripture tells us to do. And so this is another one of those things. On the other hand, if I don't take it captive, and as you said, hon, I actually water it, all right, it'll grow. Yeah. And again, God doesn't necessarily save us from that in that moment. So we want to be really careful, understanding that this is the very first thing that happens to this prodigal son. He gets these fantasies going, and man, they are real in his mind.
Yeah. So it can happen in our marriage. It can happen with friendships. It can happen with our kids. This story is about a son. And a lot of times our kids get to that age where we think life is better without my parents, or moving out, or doing this drug, or drinking this beer, and it looks so enticing, right? And you just see those train wrecks ahead, and it's so hard sometimes when they get to be of that age where they're 18, that they think they're the adult, right? And they can make all these adult decisions, and you see it just not ending well. But it's like, okay, you're the adult. I have to, it's tough. It's so tough.
So then it kind of moves on. So I kind of like to think of God puts up a passive fight for our heart. And what I mean by that sounds kind of like an oxymoron. A fight seems to be aggressive, but it's a passive fight in that he is going to let you do your thing. And that we call that free will. So he's going to let you do your thing. But I want you to think about something. God doesn't save us from natural consequences. And I want you to think about what that means, natural consequences. Who created nature? God created nature. And so things naturally won't go well. And God's not going to save you from those things.
Yeah, like cirrhosis of the liver if you're drinking too much.
Like hurt kids from divorce, like the grass ain't greener and I still got to mow it, like all these things. And so God fights for us, but he allows us to do our things. And his nature will slowly just keep punching us with the fallout. And so part of this, and that's what happened to this son, right? He went out, and man, at first it was just awesome, fantastic, and then life started punching him. The natural things, I'm hungry, I'm dirty, I'm no longer comfortable, and God lets you experience those. And his definition of pain is very different than yours. You are in the immediate fleshly pain, and God says, hey, this is nothing. I want you, if this is what we can use to teach you, then trust me, this is nothing. This might be what you need.
So hitting rock bottom is not a curse. It's actually a blessing. It's God's way of hopefully opening your eyes to see the danger ahead and the difference that he can make. And so he's calling us back home. He wants to have a relationship with us. He's going to allow us to experience some pain and some natural consequences of our decisions, just like he did the prodigal son. But when we turn and we have a repentant heart and we surrender our way and our choices for his way, because by the way, they're a lot better than anything we could ever imagine.
And it's been proven. I mean, we've talked about this in other shows before. This is not about whether, these Christians say, that this is better. No, I mean, we actually have all the statistics that God's way is the right way, and it produces the best fruitful living.
Yeah. And speaking of fruit, we talked about that in our last show, and you've got to water You got to water those seeds. We've got to realize that grass is not going to be green anywhere unless you water it. And that's where the surrender comes in. That's where the active choice of repentance comes in, where you say, I'm quitting it. I'm turning it over to you, Lord. I'm going to replace this bad habit, this bad behavior that I know, God, does not please you and is hurting me and my family, and I'm going to choose you.
Right. That is so huge. And when the son does this, notice he does not come back in with an entitled heart or anything.
Arrogant spirit.
Yeah, he drops to his knees. And so one of our challenges would be, like in a marriage situation, one of the things we talk about all the time is the very first thing that we actually do when we come out of what would be an argument or a heated disagreement. The very first thing that we coach in the first coming together is the first person who's hurt that can come to with an apology.
Yeah, owning it.
Yeah, because the apology is an expression of the repentance of the heart that, this isn't working and I need to go a better way.
Yeah.
It's a surrender. And so we really want to emphasize that, whether it's in a marriage situation or we teach our kids this. And remember when the kids were little and if they did something wrong and maybe we sent them to their room for a timeout or whatever, we would tell them, and when you come out, you need to be ready to apologize. And sometimes I'm ready to come out. And you go, well, what'd you do? Nothing. Okay, well, go back into your room, okay?
Yeah.
Because that repentant heart or that apology, we can only do that when the heart's ready. Otherwise, you can't hardly get those words to come out of your mouth.
Right. And so at the end, the brother who's so jealous and resentful of his brother that came home and was welcomed back, that's a whole nother, like you said, a whole nother sermon in itself. And that's something we don't want to do. When we see someone win when they shouldn't have win, or their wickedness gets rewarded, or they get away with something, we just got to trust that God is not just a God of grace, but he's a just God.
Yes.
And so there is going to be consequences, okay? And we just got to trust God that he's got a better plan.
Yeah.
And we've got to check our own heart. And we can't let that jealousy and resentment build up.
But we see this all the time. You see it in family situations where you have one kid being jealous of another because of a certain thing, and fair does not always look the same.
Yeah.
Because of how kids' personalities are wired and what the circumstances is. We also see it in marriages where you might see some guy who you're trying to do everything right in your marriage, and here this guy, he seems to be just living the life of a king, but he's not doing things the way that you would want or in God's eyes. And right away, you become kind of jealous when you see him getting things, and your heart becomes bitter. And so understanding that this is not between you and another man. Yeah. This is not between anything but you and God. Yep. And so when we do that, we really eliminate the feeling of entitlement, because entitlement is what somebody else, what I feel they deserve, I deserve from them. Yeah. And so, and sometimes we feel entitled by God, God, you owe me this. And I think that's that thing where you always have to be humbled and go, oh, wait, no. God created you. You didn't create God.
And, going back to my story of my wrecked car, we all are going to have those moments where we blow it. And we want to be received by our Father the way my dad received me, and by the prodigal son's dad received him. We're always going to want that. So we've got to prepare our hearts and be ready to give that so that we can receive that when it's time that we need that. So I love this story. It's such a powerful story, and it's such symbolic of our relationship with the Lord and how he sees us. And we have strayed, and he's always welcome. He's always willing to welcome us home.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up. Yeah. And so one of the challenges that we would pull from this story is to think about the prodigal son and how he finally came to writing his, if I could say it, his thankful list when he was eating the pig's food. Yeah. But it took him eating that food to make him go, gosh, man, I had it so much better. So because we are oftentimes living such a life of comfort and even extravagance compared to many people around the world, how about you? What are you really thankful for? Man, what is the last time you thought about, man, I'm blessed to have the things I have, whether it's family, whether it's job, whether it's finances, whether it's health. I could focus on what I don't have, and that's what I'll see. But when I focus on what I do have,
man,
that's what I'm going to see.
And it's a huge perspective shift.
Yeah.
And then when you write that down, I want you to speak that. I want you to speak that to your spouse. I want you to speak that to your children. I don't want you to be like, here's my list. But I do want you to say, hey, thank you. Thank you for cooking dinner. It was so good tonight. Hey, guys, thank you. Thank you for just clean up your room or whatever. I mean, show appreciation, acknowledge that you see it, because it definitely changes, I think, your heart, and it keeps it softened.
Right. It feeds the heart. Yeah, for sure. So, at the end of the day, don't be so slow to eat a little crow. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Don't be so slow to eat a little crow.
Oh, my gosh.
You might have to eat a little crow, but at the end of this, it's a blessing. And it's part of the humility that we need, because it allows God to be who God wants to be in our life. He wants to have a relationship with us, and we have to humble ourselves and take ourselves off the throne. So be slow.
Yeah.
Don't be so slow to eat a little crow. That was good. I'm writing that down.
As we close, we want to thank again our sponsors, Casey Outdoor Solutions and Maxwell Construction, for their support of Rock Solid Radio.
Yes, we certainly do. And so we'd like to say thanks again. And we just want to continue to do what we do. And Linda, you okay there? Don't die on me. So go out there and help us continue to build a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day. I think you ate crow and you're choking on your crow. You're choking on your crow. You all right?
Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Maxwell Construction, who has been our sponsor since the very beginning. For over 30 years, Maxwell has delivered the highest quality projects by holding to their core values of customer satisfaction, positive attitude, respect, and excellence. So if you have any kind of commercial construction need, give Maxwell Construction a call today at 812-537-2200.